Welcome to Make Magic Happen with Catt O'Sullivan. Over the next hour, you'll hear from Catt and her guests who will help you create the life you really want, even if it feels impossible. Now, here's Catt.
Hey, Catt here. Whether you're here with me live or maybe you're listening to the replay, welcome. I am thrilled to have you part of my Make Magic Happen community. It's where we challenge assumptions, shift perspectives, and yes, create new possibilities. Now, as always, let's pretend we're at your go-to coffee shop and we're having our favorite beverage. As I take my first sip, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, this is the finale of my Make Magic Happen 13-week series. What a ride it's been. And it's been a blessing to have you share this with me. And many of you have. And the stats don't lie. There have been over 3,000 live or on demand episodes listened to over the past 12 weeks. Wow. I am so grateful for your support along the way. It's been a transformational journey for me, and I hope for you as well. If you want to continue your journey with me, I'd love to hear about your journey and what else will help you embrace all of who you are and create a hell yes transformation in your life. Email me your thoughts at catt@makemagichappennow.com. Remember, Catt with a K. Your feedback will help me create additional episodes that will give you just what you need to make magic happen. This is not the end. It's a new beginning. I'll be making a shift from a live radio format to a podcast. These 13 episodes and new podcast episodes will still be accessible from my Voice America homepage. And I've also created a private Make Magic Happen community platform for women 50 plus who want to dream big, live boldly, and create a fulfilling life they'll love. It's free to my Voice America listeners. And no, it is not yet another Facebook group. It's a private community, a way we can stay in touch and share our journeys with other like-minded women. For additional support, I'll also be doing periodic live Q&A group coaching sessions free for my members. If you'd like an invitation to join, please email me directly at catt@makemagichappennow.com. Let's make this journey more fun and more meaningful. And if you haven't done so already, I would love for you to take advantage of my free self-assessment. It includes 10 key attributes that will help you make a significant transition with less stress and more fulfillment. You'll gain insights into aspects of your life where, hey, you might need some adjustments and celebrate where you're thriving. Just click on the QR code at the top of the page. Today, I'm going to close out this series by looking at what it means to say hell yes to a transformational shift that will make magic happen in your life. My special guest is Catt Z. Yep, another cat. Now, we've been friends for over 40 years. Yeah, 40 years. Can hardly seems possible. She's experienced most of the stories I've shared these past 12 episodes up close and personal. So I think it's only fitting that she shares the finale with me. Like me, Catt's made many significant shifts throughout her life. I've asked her to share her latest transformational journey. It's a doozy. You won't want to miss it. But before we go there, I want to share some key takeaways that my guests and I have shared throughout this series. And if you missed any of these episodes, I encourage you, listen to the replay, gain more insights. So as I share this recap, make note of the episodes you'll want to catch up on. Okay, here goes. In my first episode, we took a look at what it means to be disruptible. Now, being disruptible is about responding versus reacting to disruptions. It's all about stepping back, choosing to interrupt your norm, and consider what else is possible. I posed this question: what if disruption is the perfect opportunity to create a shift that would allow you to be more and do more of what lights you up? That disruption can actually become your BFF. Yeah. I've also talked a lot about shifting our perspective. I explained that I use the word shift instead of change intentionally. We've all been taught that change is the only constant in life, so, well, we should just get over it, right? Reframing shift is my way to avert the immediate resistance that comes when we say or hear the word change. No, not that. Change suggests that something is wrong, broken, in need of being fixed. Shift, on the other hand, reflects a more natural evolutionary movement from one thing to another. No fixing required. Whether the shift you're pondering is something small but significant or something over the top, any change, shift, can be a bit scary. Okay, a lot scary. An alert ahead. Saying hell yes to that shift is guaranteed to be disruptive. Wait, what? You're probably thinking, why the bleep would I want to do that? Well, the good news, if given the chance, making that shift can also be magical. I shared how it all starts with a K shift. Yeah, it's a made up word that's become part of my brand. It's that aha moment when you experience a catalytic shift in perspective. And yes, I'm spelling catalytic with a K. It's a shift that reveals what you can't see, connects those dots you never expected, opens up new possibilities. If you let it, a K shift will take you on a transformational journey. And that only happens when you are willing to be disruptible and give yourself permission to ponder new possibilities and then have the courage to embrace them. Now, in my second episode, we challenged the notion of leaving a legacy. Rather than focusing on what we're going to leave behind when we're gone, better to shift our thinking to the legacy we're actually living now, moment by moment, choice by choice, by design, not default. The legacy we're creating by who we are and how we live our lives and the impact it has on us, our loved ones, and others on our path. What difference do you want to make as you live out the rest of your life? What do you want to be known for when you're gone? By now, you've probably figured out that, yep, I'm a disruptor and love challenging assumptions about what is. And that includes what it means to, quote, retire. Okay, in episode 3, I shared how, by all accounts, people say, I've gotten a big fat F when it comes to retirement. And I agree, proud to say, I've failed spectacularly. But then again, I never said I wanted to retire. I did want to retire from what I was doing to pursue a new life, a life that would allow me to shift my focus from consulting and coaching and expand my reach and impact through writing and speaking. What started out as a dream? Well, it's now a reality. In less than 3 years, I've written and published my new book, From Doubt to Do: Navigating Your Pathway to Possibility. If you haven't checked it out yet, just click on the QR code to learn more. Oh, and here I am on Voice America. And I've also been volunteering with a local nonprofit serving children with life threatening health issues, giving even more meaning to my life. And in case you missed it, I shared a poignant statistic. According to the World Economic Forum, today's 20-year-olds, well, they can expect to live to 100. And 10-year-olds, they can expect to live to 103. Now, that may not be you, but still, it's time to ponder what else is possible throughout your life, well into your 80s, 90s, or yes, even 100 or beyond. No doubt, living longer requires that we rethink the outdated idea of retiring. Thankfully, there's been a shift in the perception of retirement. No longer is it seen as the end of a productive life, but as a transition to a new life filled with new opportunities for personal and professional growth. Those shifts are where magic can happen if we let it. And we've talked a lot about how to get clear about your vision and uh, the vision that you have for the next chapter of your life. In episode 4, we looked at the importance of a powerful and empowering vision of what you really want your life to look like and a clear path to navigate your pathway to new possibilities. We looked at my 4 empowering C's: courage, clarity, commitment, and capacity. They can help you make that shift from doubt to do. Oh, and now there's a 5th C, choice. It's a reminder that we are always at choice at each step of our journey from impossible to possible. In episode 5, we got a reality check. There is no courage without fear and vulnerability. We get to choose. We can take the path of fear, often the path of least resistance, and stay stuck in what is, or we can take the path of courage and see it as an opportunity to discover new possibilities. Okay, if the word vulnerability got you hyperventilating, deep cleansing breaths. Imagine there's a dance between vulnerability and fear, kind of like a tango. The tango is known for being a passionate, emotional form of dance. The dancing couple hold each other closely and make abrupt yet graceful movements. When you think about being vulnerable, what emotion comes up for you? Take a moment to feel it. Now, imagine what you're most passionate about, what's most important to you as you ponder what's next for you. How would you feel when you're living that out? Will making that happen mean making a significant shift that feels a bit scary? What if you could make that shift with grace? Imagine it being a beautiful dance. Now, episode 6 introduced the idea that innovating against all odds only happens when we don't allow our fear to dissuade us. And we're willing to be vulnerable enough to share what we want to bring to life unapologetically, and then make it happen, even if we don't know how yet. And yes, that takes courage. This episode was all about how to tap into the power of our why, to turn that yet into a hell yes commitment to create a new product or service that would transform people's lives or disrupt the status quo in a way that would create life-changing new possibilities that would otherwise never exist. What are you passionate about? How could you bring more of that into everything you do? In episode 7, we looked at how we can transform lives by merging our passions with what we're already doing or what we're envisioning doing next. How figuring that out can result in more fun and add more depth to what we're already doing. How what we're passionate about can spark new possibilities that could shift the way we're thinking about what else is possible and how it could be life changing for others on our path. I believe the most poignant question I've posed yet is, what if impossible is just a story we tell ourselves? In episode 8, we explored how our perspective can change everything, especially when faced with life altering diagnosis for ourselves or a loved one. We faced another reality check. Impossible is just a story we tell ourselves when we can't see a solution yet, or we're too fearful to consider what else is possible, or others tell us it's impossible. I shared how turning the seemingly impossible into the possible requires a hell yes strategy, especially when it comes to health. When faced with a seemingly impossible health challenge, we can choose to ask the question, what if recovery is possible? It can make all the difference, even be life saving. And when we find ourselves stuck in doubt about what's really possible, we can use the 4 C's as a strategy to help us make that shift from doubt to do and navigate that journey with confidence and courage. In episode 9, it was all about how we can live out the adage, be the change you want to see in the world. We've probably all heard the saying, if not now, when? If not me, who? Let's face it, now more than ever, we need people who are bold enough to think they can change the world. In this episode, we challenged assumptions and shifted perspectives about just that and shared ways you can make a difference. We explored many ways to invest in positive change, including ways most people, well, they're not aware of yet. Ways that create opportunities to reap financial rewards and increase your happiness along the way. If the idea of changing the world still feels a bit daunting, well, we invite you to ponder this. What if changing the world starts with each of us changing ourselves and the world around us, something we have control over, something we're passionate about? What if the ripple effects of the changes you make could inspire others to do the same? Now, all of what was covered in the first 9 episodes, well, they're only possible if we take care of ourselves along the way. In episode 10, we looked at the 7 deadly myths about self-care, especially for caregivers. We looked at how self-care is essential to each of us, whether we're a caregiver or not. That the reality is we're all likely to be a caregiver at some point in our lives. And studies show, shockingly, that 30% of caregivers die before the people they care for do. Now, if that's not an incentive to make self-care a priority, I'm not sure what is. Part of self-care is taking charge of your health. In episode 11, we looked at the importance of becoming your own best advocate, especially in healthcare, a system that, let's face it, needs serious transformation. We looked at research that reveals that self-advocates are more likely to receive better care and get their questions and concerns addressed. We learned vital tips and strategies to equip us to be effective advocates for ourselves and our loved ones. Whether you're currently navigating a healthcare challenge or not, no time like the present to build your confidence and capability to advocate for your healthcare needs. And in last week's episode, we explored ways we can live our lives with more happiness and joy. We learned that happiness and joy are often lumped together, yet each provides a very different experience. After all, you can be happy without experiencing true joy, and it's possible to know joy or even feel joyful despite grief or uncertainty. Knowing the difference between the two can help us prioritize what's most important and appreciate life in a deeper, more meaningful way. And great news, we learned that research shows that happiness is linked to lowering our heart rate and blood pressure, and that happiness and joy boost our immune system, fight stress and pain, and improve our chance of living a longer life. I say it's time to create more happiness and joy in our life. Wow. Now, that was a bit of a marathon, right? I do hope these takeaways will help you recall things that could make a difference in the next chapter of your life and get you even more curious about what else is possible. And of course, you can always listen to the replays if you missed any of that. On that note, time for a quick break. You'll meet my dear friend Catt and learn more about her transformational journey. It's truly inspiring. Now, time for that break.
Welcome back to Make Magic Happen with Catt O'Sullivan.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, before the break, I shared key takeaways from my previous 12 episodes. It was a marathon. And if you missed any of that, I do hope you'll watch the replay. Now it's time to welcome my very special guest and dear friend, Catt Z. Now, I have to say, I wish I could have captured the look on Catt's face when, back in May, I asked her to be my guest and that we'd be focusing on embracing all of who you are and create a hell yes transformation. Little did I know that yet again, Catt was in the middle of doing just that, and that she wasn't really sure where she'd be on her journey in a few months. And I said, perfect. Now, here we are a couple months later. Time to get the inside scoop. So, Catt, welcome. First, I have to ask, like, what was tugging at your heart that prompted this desire to create a transformational shift in your life? This time, this
Yeah.
next one.
Yes. Well, the disruption, using your language, the disruption is that the things that I had been doing stopped working. It stopped. Everything stopped. Doors closed, stopped. My Cosmic Smash booking, offerings, we're not working. We're not getting the responses that I had desired and hoped for the people that I served. And I would try a few more other things, and everything stopped. Doors closed. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, it's amazing when that happens. I think back to like 3 years ago when I was exactly in that same place. And you know what? There was one day when I just woke up and said, maybe there's a reason. maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's a message in that there's a message in the mess, right? And so then it was like, oh my God, now what?
And then the other thing, Catt, is that, so who I thought I was, now I'm mentioning my name and my age because I think it's relevant, right? Because it's the senior citizen thing. Like what is that,
Yeah.
But what happened was that I also had realized that I had not been living my life authentically. My theme this year was authenticity becomes you. And God, when you're given a theme, in my case, when God, the universe, spirit gives you a theme for the year, it's like, oh hell, hold on. And my
just wait.
For the year, just wait. Authenticity becomes you. What does that mean? And you start to live in that. And that's what I did. I started living in it. And then through that process of authenticity becomes you, I came across human design and Gene Keys, which I'd been before, and then realized that part of how I'd been living my life was because of conditioning and so on. And then discovered, oh my God, that's not really who I am, that these other things have been what I've been doing to live and exist. But in fact, that's not really who I am. So it's this whole shift is being, because that's the critical piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now, authenticity becomes you is to be you, not do you, not work
Right.
you. I mean, I know how to do all those things very well, and that's what I've done. In my 50 plus years as a software developer. But how do you be you?
Well,
And
and not to discount any of those things, because I've been through a lot of that with you, and at the time they were meaningful, not just to you but to other people. And sometimes we forget or we don't recognize the fact that everything that we've been through up to this very moment
that's
is
right.
uniquely preparing us to be more authentic, to discover more about ourselves so that we can make a shift into more authenticity.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so therefore, now it's what's now, knowing of all the things that I've done, all the things I've created and trends, now what, and have health and have a heart and have, I don't know about ambition anymore. I think that's changing. Still have drive to serve, right? Drive to serve.
Mm-hmm.
What does that get to? Now what? I mean, there's no other
Yeah.
way to put it. Now
What
what?
the
I don't
bleep?
know.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say sometimes it's always challenging. We're
Oh,
in that moment of what is next that we can't see yet.
correct.
So what is helping you like move forward and get past those doubts, especially, oh my gosh. So I know for me, I didn't share, but like 3 years ago when I was in that mess, the first thought that bubbled up was, oh my God, can I really do something different at this stage of my life? you know so what's kind of helped you move through that, to challenge that assumption that has to do with age,
Right.
and how can we get past the anti-aging messages that are out there and think about aging in a completely different
Oh,
way?
yeah. And hence that's one of the questions. Is like, I'm just going to turn this around for a minute because I want to share with everybody where I'm at. Is I'm sitting aside a little tiny, tiny trailer called the Drag Queen. I mean, it's tiny. There is the door, right?
Yeah.
There is the sink. There is my dog I'm traveling with, right? And I mean, this is like 10 feet. I'm sitting in a 10-foot trailer. I've been here dry camping, which means, peeing in a coffee can, a Folgers coffee can, because a retired uh over the road female driver, I was doing all kinds of things, taught me like just pee in the Folgers can. It's like, oh my God, it's brilliant, because everything else is, so peeing
Well,
in the can, the
and
temperatures are over.
since you're talking about driving, I know that your journey is more than metaphorical, because you recently hit the road literally. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what this actual journey that you're on has looked like. And, I know you just came from Montana, right? For a
Right,
welding class.
right,
And I'm
right,
like, when you told me that, I'm like, what has that got to do with anything? So
right,
what's
right.
this current journey, that you're on?
So yeah, and it's metaphorical, and it's all, so for me, disruption, pure disruption, is leave your nice home that you've created for yourself, get into a 10-foot trailer that has no air conditioning, you're peeing in a Folgers cup, a Folgers thing, you also are bringing on your dog, your everything is shifted, how you do food, I mean, how everything gets disrupted. Hit the road in 100 plus temperature that we started out in, and it's been hot all the way around. And with a theme, with a desire, and for me, and being curiosity,
Mm,
because the question is, what next? And for me, being on the road in this disruption and being curious and listening to people are talking, what are they looking for? What's really happening in the world? Really get out there and discover what is really happening. We have a loneliness epidemic. What's going on about that? Addiction. I have 14 years of addiction recovery. It's huge. It's just gigantic. And then be on the road, that means, I'm stayed away from sugar almost yesterday. Buckeye nuggets kind of got me, but I had to try them,
Yeah.
Big deal about that. I just had to try them.
Part of the journey,
It's part of the journey. And it was like, oh yeah, that's why I don't eat. Yeah, it tastes good. Go down, but that sugar coma on the road is kind of dangerous, and I'm also leading 2 other people on this journey. So I'm being of service there. And so the point is that, and I still have more disruption to continue. The other thing that's important is that I'm sitting right now in Southern Colorado, and I do this intentionally. I'm in this gorgeous place. If you've ever checked out Spanish Peaks in Southern California, Southern Colorado is absolutely a gem, and it's tiny little towns, but it's on the border, which is how I originally discovered of New Mexico. And I do not go into New Mexico at night. It is called the land of enchantment for a reason. And I do not go in there. I do not go there and disrupt, because sometimes you have to be careful what you disrupt. I don't want to disrupt anything until the morning. So where I'm getting at is, and bringing this together, is that you don't know. You don't know. The in-between is you don't know. And the part about being in the in-between is what's supported me is acceptance is huge. Accepting I cannot change anything. So if I have somebody that I'm leading on this tour and they're having a temper tantrum, I get to accept they're in a temper tantrum. Right? For some reason, I get to accept those things. I get to accept that the road is closed. I get to accept that the highway is burning up of lithium batteries, and I get to figure out another way to do things, because there's always challenges, and it's really about the solution. What's the solution here? What's the solution? So the things that have supported is faith, trust, acceptance. And I'm sure there's one more, and this always happens. There's one more, and it's probably the one that I need the most right now that I'm not remembering.
Well, the thing that I hear is you're not resisting anything. You're open, you're curious, you're not in resistance, because, what we resist persists, And so the fact that you're in a state of, the unknown, and you're not resisting that, you're actually going with it, going with the flow.
So you asked about the aging question. Okay, so I rescued a dog. Phoenix is his name, 2.5-year-old golden retriever, 65 pounds. Love the dog, nothing wrong with him. I absolutely loved him. But then at some point where he was doing zoomies in my little house, and the cats and I were like, oh my God, he's going to hurt us just because he's exuberant. Was the moment when I stopped resisting and said, oh my God, I am a senior citizen. I cannot do this. He's going to hurt us. And then got to do something different, which became amazing.
Tell.
Yeah, amazing. I'm one of those who, at a later age, their marriage ended, which is not how I thought life would go. And rebuilding my life over the last, I don't know what to call it, rebuilding, there's some word, but you're
reinventing
is a great one. Thank you. You're reinventing your life in a new and a different way. And so of course I had a lot of anger, the ex-husband, girlfriend, younger girlfriend, that whole kind of thing, which is a whole other, podcast.
Right.
But bottom line is that I ended up giving this dog to my he's my husband, because he was my second. I already had an ex-husband longer, so my husband.
Oh my gosh.
My husband, Phoenix. And it actually was an amend, God doing something for me I could not do for myself. And the amend that after having lived by myself for 10 years, realized how frustrating it would have been to live with me, because I had to live with myself now and deal with my own frustrations I was creating. And it became an amend to my, I mean, he certainly owned his part, but that's not what's important. What's important is I gave this fabulous dog to my husband as an amend for it. So, but the moment of saying, you're a senior citizen, he's going to hurt you, you cannot control this level of exuberance in a 65-pound who's going to get heavier, young, happy golden retriever. And that's how I ended up with Scouty, who is a middle-aged. I rescued her, 7-year-old, laid back golden border collie, and that was my gift. So to answer your question, and then the thing about the aging piece is, what the hell does that mean? I don't know. Health means something. And what you want out of life. You talked about legacy. What are you going to leave behind? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to leave behind. I'd certainly think about that. It's not, my whole children's story is another podcast. Yeah. So the aging piece, and also, where are the role models, of what you do, of what this looks like. And in some cases there aren't any, because this is all new. And I was designed for new. In my software world, 50 plus, I was always on the bleeding edge of technology. It just didn't occur to me to buy stock. That's my mistake. All right. I'd be in a very different place if I had been doing that. But new beginnings is, I'm built for that. I'm built for ignition. I'm built for new beginnings. I'm built for supporting others in their new beginnings. So I'm in this place of, I do not know, and I'm curious, and I'm in faith and trust. I don't know where. I do not want to retire. I do want to semi-retire. I get to slow things down for my art. So my more of my art, I'm very creative, so more of my art and creativity, those things. So, because the welding piece, sewing with fire, plasma cutting, oh dear God, did I fall in love with plasma cutting. And now I'm thinking, like, what next? What do I want to learn next? What else are power tools don't I know about? Rotary cutters, So it's just fabulous.
Well, I think that's awesome. And I think you shared with me that, talk about challenging assumptions, that you weren't the only more mature woman.
No,
like there were women in their 80s learning how to weld.
Yeah.
What a great model, for ageless ambitions. Okay. So on that note, it is time for a quick break. But when we come back, I'm going to ask you to walk through how my 4 C's, courage, clarity, commitment, capacity, are playing out for you on this journey. So listeners, stay tuned, because it could help you on your journey. Now for a quick break. Well, welcome back. If you're just joining us, I've shared key takeaways from my first 12 episodes, and Catt Z is graciously sharing her latest transformational journey with us. Even though it's a bit messy, still a work in progress.
Messy.
And a good reminder that no matter where we are in our journey, we're all a work in progress. So I've asked Catt if she'd be willing to share how my 4 C's, courage, clarity, commitment, and capacity, are helping her on this latest transformational journey. Oh, and how my 5th C, choice, is playing out for her along the way. Thankfully, she said, hell yes, music to my ears. And I realize with the limited time that we have, we're probably not going to get through all of it. Maybe we start with courage, because really nothing else matters if we don't have courage. So how is that playing out for you, especially since there's so much uncertainty and you're in that place of, I don't know yet?
Yeah, it all starts with courage, because one, you have to be willing to be, as you said, messy. It's really messy, right? And you have to be willing to have to be messy. And what does messy mean? You don't know, you can't figure it out, you're not going to get things right, people are going to judge you, you're going to be judgmental, you're going to really F up, you're really going to make some big mistakes.
What does it look like to, again, not be in resistance to that, but rather to actually lean in and embrace all of who you are and discover like what that looks like now?
Yeah, and I think part of that, Cat, is that you look at the evidence of what doesn't work, right? It's like, do I want to stay there? Do I want to stay in that? Which it's your fifth one, is choice. It's a choice. Like, a husband, 10, after 30 some years, 10 younger, blah, blah, blah. I had a choice. 4 things went through my mind. Number one, it was like the work that I do in the world, cosmic smash booking. I was like, does this really work? Does it really transform? Dear God, I'm going to find out. Number 2 was, this is going to hurt. And number 3 was, oh, hell no, this is not going to take me out.
Yeah.
Right. Not going to take me out.
Well, you've had enough, and I've had enough experience in doing the seemingly impossible over and over again, that it's kind of like the challenge is, all right, here I am at this stage of my life. I'm going to have to take heaping tablespoons of my own medicine.
There's that. And the courage for me was to be, bitter or better. That's what became my thing. I chose to be better. And then the courage, how can I say this? I've always known I had courage. I knew that at a young age, that I had courage. I mean, I didn't have brains or smarts or anything else to go along with it. And I think that's the other point too, is that courage is, you don't have it figured out. You don't know. Especially if you're in the in-between, you don't know. And even if you do kind of know where you're going, for me, and it kind of ties in with commitment. For me, it's I take a sword, and on the sword is a banner, and on the banner is heart, because it all really starts here. Courage, comes from the French word heart. It comes from heart. As I take a sword and I place it in the ground with emblems on it, like it could be a spider, like everything I would do is going to weave in things, and then just say, I'm going to do this. And the thing about courage is, okay, I can have courage today, and tomorrow I don't.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm in suicidal ideation. I want to kill myself. Like, why? Let's just end this. Why am I, and I know some of us, have that. And so then it's again the courage to, it's the courage to, do your own every day, doing your own journaling work, doing your own. It may be the courage to get up out of bed, get dressed, have a cup of coffee, because in my world, if I go to bed at night sober, it's a good day. If I go to bed sane, it's a really great day. Right.
Yeah. I have started I have a really, what works for me, a really good morning practice of a variety of things. And recently I added something that it's like, it just amplifies it. And that is, the minute I wake up in the morning, the first thing out of my mouth or in my mind is, what am I grateful for? No matter what's going on, there's always something that we can be grateful for. And what a difference it makes to start your day focused on what you're grateful for what we have versus what we don't have, et cetera. And then at the end of the day, when I lay my head on that pillow, same thing. What am I grateful for? So it's like sandwiching the day, between moments of gratitude.
Yeah. And that energetic.
And it's more likely during the day when things aren't going the way that I thought they would, that it's easier to shift out of that negativity into more a sense of, okay, so what can I be grateful now? You know, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's really
Yeah,
huge.
it is huge. You know, and the next one is clarity. And what supports me, and it ties in with something that I do in the morning, because, you know, like you can be grateful for running water, which I don't have right now. The little pump I bought for my little, right? But for the clarity piece, for me is I wake up in the morning and I also ask, give a great day, give a good day. And then all day long, like there was things that happened yesterday where I could have reacted instead of responded. And the question is, would that give me a good, would that be giving a great day? No. If I reacted versus responded to something. And that helps give me clarity, because that clarity piece is like, for instance, right now I'm looking for clarity. I'm looking for clarity. I'm curiosity about the clarity piece. So
Well,
clarity.
and we only we only see what we're looking for. So if we're not curious, if we're not in that state of insatiable curiosity, we're not going to see it, even if it's right in front of our face.
Right.
Right. So yeah. And, you know, the clarity I've shared, you know, previously, that it's about the what. And, you know, especially when we're in a state of, well, I don't know what the hell it's going to look like. Right. But it's also about clarity around the why. Why are you on this journey?
Yeah.
Why, you know, and I'm hearing for you, it's a journey of authenticity, of figuring out how do you embrace all of who you are, not just these little compartments along the way, but you're in a new chapter. And what does that look like to continue to search for and embrace who you are now and who you want to be going forward? That's huge.
And this brings up, it's huge. And this brings up the thing of commitment. The piece of commitment is that every day you choose to stay on the road, because will tell you, I've been on this trip and I have been looking for reasons to jump off the trip. Right?
Yeah,
there are so many reasons. It's hot. It is over 100. Blah blah blah. I am mosquito bitten. Right. I mean, and I was even saying to myself, "Oh, this is interesting. You are looking for a reason. Just let anybody get mad at you. You're going to say, "Fuck this! I am out of here. I've had enough." It was showing up for me. I said, "Oh, isn't this interesting?" So the importance of commitment. Like, no, I know when you are on these journeys, whatever the journey is, you can get the answer in the very last 30 seconds of the journey. And if you don't stay in it, you won't get it. You got to take it right on down the road, drive it home, unpack, and it could be in the unpacking where it shows up.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know when the miracle happens. You never know.
And it will never happen unless we stay in that place of curiosity and continue to ask, what else is possible? What else is possible? What else is possible? You know, rather than no way, Jose, you know, it's like, what else is possible? What else is possible if I stay open, if I stay curious, if I stay committed to the process, you know, because it is a process.
And it's all choice.
Every step of the way, it's about choosing to be who we are. So, you know, I realize, you know, this has been great. And I have to say, I so appreciate you trusting me, trusting our listeners enough to share in such a transparent and courageous way. I know it's going to make a difference for people who are listening, to give themselves permission to discover and pursue their passion, to take that next step and the next, and so on, knowing it's okay to not have all the answers yet, that it is going to be messy, and that's okay too, and that it will be worthwhile when they get to the other side and they're living a fulfilling life that they'll love. So at the beginning of the show, I shared that I've created this private Make Magic Happen community for women 50 plus who are also on their own transformational journey. And Catt's going to be joining so we can keep track of her journey and see where it takes her, continue to support and celebrate, what's going on along the way. And so for you, my listeners, if you want to join in the fun and continue to connect with me and other like-minded women, please, please email me at catt@makemagichappennow.com. I'll send you a personal invite. It's free to my Make Magic Happen listeners. I hope you'll share your journey, your insights, challenges, questions, and yes, celebrations along the way. Now, normally, this would be where I'd be introducing my next episode. However, as I shared, this is the finale for at least this 13-week series. And I do hope it's been inspiring, insightful, meaningful. And remember, it's not an ending, rather, it's a new beginning. I'm making the shift from a live radio format to a podcast, still hosted by Voice America. So you'll be able to revisit any of these 13 episodes as well as new podcast episodes. And I would love to know how this series has helped you on your journey. And I'm inviting you to share your ideas for future episodes. What else will help you on your transformational journey? Send me an email at catt@makemagichappennow.com. Share your thoughts. And if you want to know what else I'm up to, just visit my website at cattosullivan.com. You'll discover more about my keynote speaking, my new book, From Doubt to Do, and magical disruption coaching for those who want even more support. Now, again, I appreciate your support over these 13 weeks, and I look forward to hearing from you. I do hope you'll email me, share your insights, share what else would be helpful to you, and become part of my private Make Magic Happen community. And as always, this is the last time I'm saying this as part of at least this series. I want to say onward and upward.